All right, welcome back to another interview. Don't worry if you're not seeing the Discord button light up. We're having a few technical difficulties here, but that's not stopping us from continuing on the interviews. Today, we have one of the most long-running PGL veterans around. He has made probably 9 or probably more playoffs and at least 12 appearances in the PGL. Today, we have Cram. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing quite well. Thank you for asking.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we got our audio issues worked out, or my audio issues. It's all on my side. So if anything breaks in the middle, that you might catch some cuts and edits, but we're gonna make it work. So, been over it a few times. I'm gonna say it every time. PGL Season 18 is low tier. It is not Dex. Cut moves are allowed other than Hidden Power and Pursuit. The budget was really tight, and the Terra Captains are really low on the tier list. So, my first question for you today, Cram. How did you find the draft? What was your thought process going in? I think you were relatively early in the draft, so you kind of had your pick for whatever first pick you wanted. Yeah, you were third on the list, so you got almost the whole board in your favor. So what did you go with for kind of your first couple picks, and what do you think about your early picks?
Yeah, so when I initially got my third spot, it was actually pretty interesting because I always prefer the later spots like you had yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
don't mind missing out on the best of the best as long as I can get good synergies and build around something I'm kind of eyeing that's a little bit lower on the draft board. So like
Mm-hmm.
when I came into this, I kind of wanted because I don't do as many draft leagues as I used to. I used to do like 3 draft leagues at a time. Now I'm down to just like about one at a time. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to really hone in on some things that I thought were pretty undervalued, things that I haven't tried yet. And like they ended up being my pick 3 and 4, the Bayonet, Mega, and then the Bombardier. Those are things I was interested in. I felt
Mm-hmm.
that they were pretty strong and they offered me some good utility for the team. So I just had to start building out a draft plan that would kind of make them fit a little bit. And what I
Mm-hmm.
kind of landed on was such an early pick, is I thought there was a lot of strong grass types on the draft board, and I kind of wanted to capitalize on a good one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was debating between like quite a few things. My top pick though was actually Hydrapple, and I ultimately decided against it. I thought maybe I should go a little higher given my early draft position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% on Iron Lees, but I did feel like the offensive pressure is very good. It's a good scarfer, and it has 100% accurate physical psychic move, which I think is very nice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's such a good mon. Like, I'm surprised it was allowed, if we're being honest with each other here. Its stat line is kind of crazy. I think maybe it's a little less versatile because it's kind of like a physical hitter. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's similar to Haxorus, right? It does one job, does it really well. And yeah, I think super good on your team. I think you built around it well with these early picks. I see a Rabombi there, so are webs kind of a key component of your plan going into this one?
A lot of it kind of came down to I want to make sure I don't lose out on a good fairy type, but I also need speed because my draft is a little bit on the slower side, and my
Mhm.
scarfers are not super excellent. So I thought that webs would be a suitable alternative to that flaw, I guess, in my team structure. So I
Mhm.
don't know if I'll use it every week, but I do think it's a thing I want opponents to be prepared for, and it's something I do want to utilize from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a good web setter really does force a lot of prep. Or Bombi doesn't even have to show up to every matchup to force significant amounts of like removal coming and maybe some heavy duty boots that wouldn't get brought otherwise. Although, looking at your team, I feel like you have one of the faster teams in the league because you've got the Doug Trio Alola, you've got the Tentacruel, you've got the Bombardier. So you're really forcing people to both run speed and account for that sticky web, which is something that I feel like other teams I've seen in the past don't really do well. So I'm really a big fan of what you got going on here. Of course, you got the Mega Bay Net. That was on my list as a potential like early round pick. The Prankster Destiny Bond Encore cheese you can get with to pretty much always get a guaranteed 1-for-1 outside of a dark type, I think is kind of an underrated set for sure.
Yeah, and another like really important point I want to bring up is that
Mhm.
like Beta has a big difference compared to other prankster mines in that you get Frisk the pre-mega, right? So if
Mm.
I throw Beta into the field to catch people on a setup turn, I can scout what their item is before I make my decision on how to approach that position.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point because Frisk is definitely one of those abilities that I feel like throughout a game it loses a little bit of value because you tend to just learn your opponent's items as you go. And Frisk, if you frisk the same opponent multiple times, obviously you're not getting anything new, but you can just mega out of it, get that prankster, and you still get value from that pre-mega ability. So I really like that. That's a really smart call out. Another mon you've got that I think is worth a little bit of a chat. You probably got the best hazard removal water utility mon in the league with the Tentacruel. So your thoughts on picking that up? I know it's it covers a lot of bases, a lot of good roll compression, but tell me a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I like Tentacruel. It's one of the few mons on this team I've used before, and it's been buffed with flip turns. So I just feel like it's a really strong pick. Tentacruel was originally supposed to be Cinccino, but with the way the points worked and the flaws I was identifying during the middle of the draft, I thought I'd go a different direction in order to uh, cover those sorts of things a little bit. So Cinccino ended up being Tentacruel, and then I had to account the extra point elsewhere. So I believe my water type was originally going to be Glycopod because that would give me additional spikes. So I had to kind of give that up a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. I think Tentacruel is a very much more reliable bulky water.
Yeah, it definitely is. You got things like acid spray knockoff, flip turn, utility and spades. And then I think your spiker is nothing to scoff at either with that Pincurchin. So that was kind of my only snipe of the league was I was hoping to get Pincurchin super late and you beat me to it. But I think honestly it has more synergy with you than it does with me. Just buffing the iron leaves so you can run other items than booster is I don't know if we play this season outside of playoffs, but that is terrifying.
Yeah, we actually end up not being on the schedule this time. This was interestingly, though, I think the first time we didn't know who we're facing in the regular schedule before the draft.
Mhm.
So I couldn't really like counterpick the people I knew that I would be playing. I just kind of
Mhm.
had to go for the best team possible.
Yeah, that's interesting actually. So that's something I'd pitched a meme a couple seasons ago because I knew that was becoming the meta with PGL was kind of counterpicking your regular season, and then if you do well enough, then you counterpick the top players for playoffs with your transactions when it comes toward the end. I kind of caught on to that meta a little bit. I may have participated a bit myself, so I'm kind of glad to see it. It's definitely a different way to go about drafting. And so I guess with that, that leads really well into our next question. We've talked some of your individual picks, but overall, you said you had some plan change. You said Glycopod was meant to be on here at one point. You've got your two super interesting, like bulkier Terra caps, definitely played into the tankiness of those. But how do you feel about your draft overall? Was this like, did you have a plan set in place from the beginning, or did you just kind of wing it? And did you get sniped significantly at any point during the draft?
I'd say overall, I like what I did. I don't think it's perfect, and as I start to build, I can kind of see the flaws even a little bit more. But I feel like I have enough tools to succeed with this team. It just doesn't immediately jump to me as like this will be my best team ever or anything like that. But we'll have to see as if I in practice, utilize it very well. I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like I got sniped too much on this draft. I feel like I got everything I wanted. Um, Other than, of course, me pivoting from one strategy or one pick to a different pick. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel like I was really ever worried about losing things. If anything, it was kind of like somebody took a thing that I was thinking about and then made my decision easier.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's good to help rule out some of those options. I will say your team is definitely one of and in the best way possible, one of the most unique ones on the board in terms of your pieces. Because like I would say Bombardier is like a non-traditional dark, but that rock stab is so unbelievably difficult to deal with in low tier because like there's a handful of bulky ground types, but otherwise you can just spam rock moves into most teams scarf or band with that rocky payload, and you don't have the weaknesses of a rock type. So I think you've got a lot of pieces. Obviously Terra Probo Pass, I feel like you could run like some cheeky Terra fighting body press sets and just do like dumb damage with that thing. And then obviously Crocolore is there with the unaware, so nobody's ever really going to set up sweep you.
Yeah, I would say maybe bar the few that can get around my specific terras or even just their abilities.
Hmm.
You did mention I like have a lot of a bulkier choice with the Terra captains, and I feel like that wasn't entirely intentional, but it was just a thing I landed on. Like these they fit the budget, right? They fit the team, and they offer some nice defensive utility, and it just ended up that way. I kind of wish I did have at least an offensive Terra option, but yeah, Terra fighting body press and Pro Pass can kind of get around that. And
Yeah.
Garflor probably isn't too shabby on the offensive side either. So
Yeah, I think the limiting factor with Crocolore is that pretty much its only coverage pre-Terra is fire coverage, so you got to play with what do you want your secondary type to be, both offensively and defensively. One thing I really like about your team is your top two are really not big fans of steals, so like Rabombi can't really break them at all, and then Iron Leaves, you have to run that non-stab close combat. But you've got the Probo Pass that can easily run Magnet Pull any given week and run whatever Terra beats your opposing steel, because there's some steels that, don't mind going against something like a Magneton. So I think that is a super cool extra piece you've got that maybe you can catch people off guard with. I'm sorry, I kind of put it in the air, so maybe people catch on, but I think it's definitely a really neat piece to catch some of the steel types in the field off guard.
yeah, I agree. You kind of identify where I was kind of what I recognized in the initial drafts and how I adapted utilizing my Terra captain. So I think
Mhm.
Probopass would be a very valuable piece, even if I can't successfully trap anything. I can't successfully utilize it to beat down the things that my top tiers can't handle.
Mhm.
Even just a slow volt switch is very nice to help get my offensive pieces in.
Yes, that's a great call out. Yeah, I think your team is super well like created. It's like all the pieces definitely play their part. Even the low tiers, Doug Trio, Lola, like with their slap a life orb on it, it's pretty strong. So that being said, how are you feeling about the other teams in the league? I know there's been some repeat offenders when I'm asking, like, what are the matchups that excite and scare you? Doesn't necessarily have to be your regular season, could also be for playoffs. What teams stand out to you as kind of the teams to beat this season?
Hmm. I guess in terms of teams to beat, like anybody that's won PGL before is always in my mind somebody I have to pay a lot of respect to, because no matter how I look at the matchup, they're always going to find a way to perform very well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I only have one former PGL champion in my schedule. It looks like it's just a Staraptors team.
Hmm.
So at least I don't have to worry about that too much. I do have to play all the new coaches, and I think some of them got some pretty strong teams in tandem with the unfamiliarity for me at least. So I do have to kind of take those matches just as seriously as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a big part of it is like I don't know that I play any of the newcomers this season, to be honest with you. I think we might have like completely opposite schedules, but it's definitely like you don't want to play the I mean, some people want to play the best, but when you're looking at playoff chances, playing the best players is always going to be difficult, but you kind of know how they play. A lot of us PGL veterans have been here for multiple seasons. We have styles, like Eltras is big on the Volt turn. Holotos loves his bulky offense, and you'll never see a team of his without a Pseudo Widow on it. So you kind of get used to it, right? And these three newcomers, we have no idea how they play, and their teams are pretty wild. I have yet to interview any of them. I've got 2 out of 3 of them scheduled, so I'm super excited to talk to them, get in their head, learn about them a little bit, and yeah, maybe you can get something out of that. But yeah, that's a good way to think on it. They're definitely wild cards for sure.
Yeah, other than that, there's not really any specific teams I'm most worried about. It's kind of low tier, so it's kind of hard to just judge the strain because it's low tier. So they all kind of look a little underwhelming at first glance. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. A couple mid-tier mons sneak in, but for the most part, I think yeah, definitely lower power level. Which, given that, obviously when we were drafting, the point scaling really changes a lot. So you'll see things like 20-point Armarouge, you'll see 18-point Crawdaunt. So on these high tier Pokemon, I don't know if you had a chance to look over the list now that the draft is over. Did anything stand out to you? It could be a high tier, like an 8-point Terra Captain, or even some value in the low tiers that you're surprised didn't get taken by anybody.
yeah, I guess starting at like the high tier, a little surprised that low kicks didn't get picked. But at the same time, I also kind of understand a little bit because what low kicks does is like really good and hard to replicate. But at the same time, it is a bug type as your first pick. It is something that kind of forces prep, but it's like very easy counterplay that just about any team can do pretty effortlessly. Just run protect, right, to get around the priority first impression. So I can kind of understand why that one didn't get picked. I could also see. Oh, actually, I see that nobody decided they wanted free rocks with Cleavor as well at 18 points. So
Yeah. Yeah, that one
that was something I was
definitely.
concerned with.
Yeah, I mean, who switches in on a Stone Axe in low tier? And then, yeah, like you said, free rocks. So that's a good call out for sure.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of the things I expected to get as a Terra captain, got picked, because there's a lot of things that were eligible in the point category, but were outright banned just by technicality. Like if Pikachu could Terra, that would have been insane,
Yeah.
just with like all of the Nat Dex coverage stuff it gets, like E-Speed with Terra Normal, that would have been pretty cool.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, that would have been sick. Wait, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you used Pikachu in this league before?
no, I've used it
No.
in a VGC league before though.
Okay, shoot. I thought I had this distinct memory of you using a Pikachu at one point in here, but I'm off. My bad. But
It
anyway,
might be a different Eviolite holder. I used War Turtle back before it was very popular to pick War Turtle as your low tier water.
nice. So you're a trendsetter with the
So,
NFE spinner shell smashers.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with that complex thing, I totally agree with you with the complex bands. I know we had some people I build with a few of the fellow coaches. I really wanted the Terra Bibarel. Honestly, I think Bibarel's so goofy. I'm a big normal type believer. And seeing that it was Terra banned actually made me really sad because I really wanted to simple boost on somebody and do a little beatdown with the Bibarel. But without the Terra, I don't know that it's worth the price. But yeah, definitely a
Yeah,
good call out
yeah.
there.
Last time I played low tier, probably about a little less than a year ago, I actually did have to face a Terra Vivero, and fortunately I had like a Sinistra, which walls it outside of
Oh yeah.
Crunch, but even then it's a non-stab option. So
Hmm.
like if I didn't have that, Vivero like +4, like quick attack or Aqua Jet with Terra, like that's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's actually insane. And wow, yeah, you had the perfect hard counter in the Sinisha. Speaking of another Pokemon that didn't get drafted this season, even
Yeah,
though it's incredibly good.
yeah. I understand that some people don't think it's quite good enough without Terra. I don't know. I don't buy it really. Like I remember when I initially drafted for that same team, I mentioned I had asked you about it. You said it was amazing, and I
Mhm.
tried it and I literally swept the first week like, with
Yeah.
it. So I am a big believer in Sinistra even without Terra. So I ended up recommending it to I think Cyber or somebody else as well if they wanted to do that in post. They didn't end up doing it, but I do think it's a very strong grass type that someone will probably pick up down the line if they really feel that it's worth it for their team.
Yeah, spread the Sinistra gospel. Jay Scurf and I have been really preaching this thing, like praising this thing, for as long as it's been out because we love it. It used to be super underrated. Now I worry that it's almost overrated because I tried to use it in an Ubers league recently and it didn't do anything for me. It's the world's best spin blocker, but Ubers don't care about hazards as much, I feel, so, or hazard removal. So yeah, but I adore it and I think it's a fantastic Pokemon. I'm glad you're helping get more people to give it a try. And yeah, like you said, I think somebody's totally likely to pick it up.
Yeah, I agree.
So with that, I mean, we've went through the team, we went through kind of how we're looking at our opponents this season. So is there anything else you want to say to the people, to your fellow coaches, to the viewers before we sign off?
Probably just outline my usual goals, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
I would want to win like every other coach, right? Top four
Mhm.
is usually always my goal, though. I think that's a very deep run and a good testament to the strength of my ability to utilize a brand new team and take it far.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
And
you're
then,
one
of
of
course,
the. Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna have fun along the way. We're gonna definitely be bringing some fun, wacky sets that I've become known for recently, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. you know, one of the most consistent, or one of the most fun to watch players in the PGL. I always look forward to when your replays get put up, because I usually see kind of the draft lobby chat kind of blow up when some fun sets happen. So definitely looking forward to seeing you more in this season. I'm sure we'll see you in playoffs. Maybe we'll be against each other. Maybe I won't even make it, but I'll be happy to watch you ascend to the top. Maybe get your championship this season.
Maybe.
All right, sounds good. Well, with that, we'll close out the interview. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one.